How fascinated is the typical Florida State fan with Miami?
I mean, I get paid to cover them, so that's why I talk about them a lot. I think it's more the fact that and we've taken shots. We all take shots at each other. Miami takes shots at us. We take shots at them. I think the fact is that both of us are in the same position right now, and we talked a little bit about this. And we're talking about this at work about UCF unveiling their state championship rings. Right now, if you're UCF, take advantage of it while you can. Florida State, and Miami combined last season were 18 and 19. The big three programs in the state combined for a losing record. Miami was the only one out of the three with a winning record last season, and that was a 7-5 season. If you're UCF for at least one off season, you can claim you are the best program in the state of Florida. That's where Florida State, Florida, and Miami need to all realize. The 90s, the early 2000s aren't here anymore. I think Billy Napier sort of realizes a little bit about Florida, and he's saying, hey, guys, you got to be patient with me at Florida. I also think it doesn't help that he's going to have to face a schedule that's going to once again include Georgia, LSU, and the tough teams there. I think there's a lot of delusional Miami fans who think that because Mario Cristobal's coming in and they look at, oh, he's a former Cane, he won national titles, he's going to lead us to instant success. Well, Randy Shannon was a national title winning player at the University of Miami, was a national title winning assistant at the University of Miami, and he was 28 and 22 in his 4 seasons. Mark Richt was part of the first signing class at Miami that ended up winning the first national title. That led them to the first national title in 1983, even though he wasn't a part of that team. But he was part of that initial group of success under the late Howard Schnellenberger. And he left after 3 seasons. Obviously, he had some medical issues, but he was here only for 3 seasons. There comes a point where, once again, I say between being a fan and being realistic. If you're Miami and Florida State, you have to look at it both as we're not good right now. We're not good where we used to be. If 7-5 is considered a successful season just because it's a winning record, that's not what Miami's standard is. That's not what Florida State's standard is. Your standard has to be winning championships. And until both teams get back to winning championships, and if you keep Rob's comment up for 1 second, I'm going to address that in one moment. If your standard is 7-5, you're not a success. Now, Rob says right here, Miami's schedule unfortunately is looking pretty favorable for them. I agree. The two toughest games right there on their schedules are Texas A&M and Clemson, both of them on the road at various points. On the surface, Miami should finish the season 10-2, but the question's going to come in with Miami. What games? That's what I said. The Miami is a 10-2 talent team. They were also a 10-2 talent team last season that lost to a Virginia team that finished 6-6 and a North Carolina Florida State team that had losing records. They had no business losing to any of those 3 teams. So the question is going to come into play. Right now, on the surface, what games will Miami lose that they're not supposed to? Virginia and Virginia Tech, Florida State and North Carolina. You're going to have a combination of those 4 games that I think they lose at least 2 of. So yes, Miami's schedule unfortunately is looking pretty favorable for them on paper, but in reality, they're going to slip up. And if Miami fans want to disagree with me, that's fine. Prove me wrong. Have Miami win 10 games in a season, and that will prove the doubters wrong.
Well, apparently they have hired a coach who, I agree with your take, making that analogous to the Randy Shannon hire, the Mark Richt hire. I put that in a different category because, again, he is the only coach in the last 20-some years of Miami football who proved somewhere else that he's a winner. Every other coach Miami's had did nothing before Miami, did nothing after Miami. He's the only one that he had Georgia in the top 10, 8 out of 15 years. If there was a playoff, he would have had them in the playoff multiple times. Anyway, he was an accomplished coach. As you mentioned, I think he just wasn't at a right time in life, and unfortunately he's had health issues, and just, they had the one big season, but it just, he's not in a position to be in this profession anymore. So we'll take him out of the mix. But Mario Cristobal showed at Oregon that he does know how to manage and maintain and build a program and recruit and win games at a pretty high level.
He does, but we have talked about this before, and I'll say this before I head out. It is a different world, Pac-12 football versus, for a lack of a better term, because he's playing a SEC team in Texas A&M this season. But Southern football is different. Don't get me wrong; the ACC is nowhere near on the same level as the SEC right now. That being said, it's a much different world playing competitive teams like Clemson, Texas A&M, to a certain extent, road games at Virginia Tech, at Virginia, North Carolina and Florida State both coming into Hard Rock Stadium. That's a little bit of a different world than at Oregon, where you're taking on, don't get me wrong, USC's a good team, Washington's a good team, but last season, would you have said the Pac-12 was better as, thank you very much, I wonder, Pac-12 was much better than the ACC? No, I would probably say I would say the ACC was slightly better than the Pac-12 as a whole. So that's where
I agree.
he's coming into play.
I agree.